What's up guys, Dinul Perera here, bringing you question number 29 of the Database Manager video series. Let's get right on to it. So today we have question number set 29. So if you have been in touch with us, you know that question number 29 is actually part 13 of main question number 16. So if you haven't watched that, you can go ahead and watch that out. So I have included the video link in the description below, so you can go ahead and check that out if you haven't watched it. So we'll be discussing question number 29 today. So as usual, I'm going to tackle the questions one by one. We have 5 parts in main question number 29, and as usual, I will be using the ADSQL software to execute the queries, execute these query questions. So all of these are SQL query questions. So each and every question has an SQL answer for it. So I'll be discussing the answer with you. So let's start out with question number 1. So question number 1 is asking, we created all the databases and the relevant, we have included all the data in question number 16. So that's why I told you, if you haven't watched it, go ahead and watch that out. So here the first question they are asking, find all the marks obtained by the students in all the subjects for the first term to the integer. So here what they are asking is, they are asking us to now you have marks, you have marks for these students, and I am asked to find for all the subjects for all the students. I am supposed to find the mark, but only for the first term. And also they are asking us to round it off to the nearest integer. Okay. Now let's move on to the SQL MySQL ADSQL software. Let's see how it goes. So first off, as usual, I am going to start off with select all from exam_marks_db_final database. So my database has 5 tables, and out of that I am going to select the marks table. So once I run the query, you get these tables. So now what I am going to do is using the theory of inner join. So I am going to inner join the exam term table with this. So if you remember, when you are inner joining or left joining, there are actually 3 types of joins. That is left join, right join, and the full join and the inner join. And there's actually another one, that's full outer join. So I'll be using the inner join here. So no matter what kind of join method you are using, you must always include a condition. So my condition is, on the condition the term ID of the marks table, the marks table that you have got here, and you have the term ID here, that term ID should be equal to the term ID of the exam term table. Okay. Once I run this, I get the exam term table connected to this. Now what I am going to do is, that's all I am going to connect. I am not going to connect any more tables here. I am going to give the term name as first term, since they are asking only the first term. They are asking us only the first term. Okay. So first term, now I have all the details of the first term only. As you can see, the term name column has only the first term. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is, I only need the mark. So I'll get the mark. So once I run this, I get all the marks, but as you can see, some values have decimal places. So I am supposed to round all of them to the nearest integer. So I am supposed to round off all the marks. So what I am going to do is, I have a SQL function called round. You can use it to round it off. So you are going to round off the marks. So inside the round function, you must include the mark column. That's how you round off the marks. So, and as a standard, you can include for how many number of decimal places you are going to round it off. So here if you are going to round it off to the nearest integer, you can use 0. If you are rounding it off to the nearest first decimal place, you can use 1. If it's second decimal place, you can use 2. Likewise, you can choose any number for which you want the number of decimal places. So here I don't want any decimal places, I want only the integers, so I'll begin with 0. So once I run this, I get all the numbers rounded off to the nearest integer. So now you have there the answer to the first question. Now my second question is find the average 2 decimal places. That means I am supposed to round off the average to the two decimal places, the marks obtained by the students for the first term mathematics subject. Okay. So for the second question, I'll be using the theory of subquery. Since we answer a lot of questions in subqueries, I'll be using the theory of subqueries. So in the theory of subqueries, I have to get data from queries, and the answer that I get from those queries should be included as an input to other queries. So I have explained this theory before, and I'll explain it again while I am doing it. So I'm going to erase all of it. Now I am going to select all from exam_marks_dd final dot the marks table. This is the main table. So now I have all the marks. According to the question, the term should be first term. So I am supposed to find the details of all the students, and the term should be first term and the subject should be mathematics. So what I am going to do is, I am going to give a condition where the subject ID of this column, so if you are using subqueries, you can use the term in, as I said in the previous videos, you can use in or equal, but it's compulsory to use in if there are more than one output for the subquery. But if there's more than one output, it's compulsory to use the keyword in. So if there's only one output, you have two options. You can either go to equal mark or you can use the in keyword. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to select the subject ID. We have a subject ID from the subject table. You have a subject ID in subject table, and I'll give the condition that the subject name should be, according to the question, we are filtering out details only for the subject of mathematics. So let's run this. Okay, now we have all the details of subject ID 1. Subject ID 1 is referred to, I'll just show you. So when you take the subject column and data tab, you have subject ID 1 for mathematics. That means all these data are regarding only for maths. Okay. Next I am going to give and. So I previously gave a condition, that's why I used and. So you separate conditions using and. So and the term ID should be equal to. So I am again using subquery. Select the term ID from exam_marks_dd final exam term table, where the term name should be equal to first term. According to the question, they ask me for the first term. So once I run this, I get only the details for the first term only. As you can see, the term ID is 1, so term ID 1 is for the first term only. So now we have mathematics first term marks. You have all the first term marks. So according to the question, I am supposed to find the average. So average mark. So once I run this, I get the average as this. Now what I have to do is I have to round it off to two decimal places. So what I am going to do is I am going to round up this value which I am going to get, and since I want two decimal places, I will be using 2. So inside the round function, I have the average mark. I am going to round off the average mark to 2 decimal places. Now I am going to run this query. Now I get 71.84. So earlier value 71.835 was rounded off to 71.84. So the one thing I have to deal with is this column name. So I'll just quickly rename that. That will be average mark formats. To be too specific, I'll use formats. So now once I run this query, I get average marks for max as 71.84, which was earlier 71.835. We rounded it up to 71.84. Okay, now the second question is also done. Moving on to the third. So the third question is asking, what is the lowest mark obtained for science subject? Okay, now they have given a science, now they have given a subject name for all terms. That means the term name is not specified, means you don't have to connect. If you are using the inner joins, you are not supposed to join the term table because they are asking all terms, so they are not specifying any. So but they are specifying the class table. So as I explained in one of the previous videos, I have the SQL workbench here. If you want to get to the class table, you have to get through the student table. So if you are using the concept of inner joins, I have to connect both student and class tables. So let's see how it goes. So I'm going to do the question number 3. So in question number 3, just read over this. Okay, just for the sake of this video, I am going to use the theory of subqueries, because if I use the concept of inner joins, the query will be too lengthy. So I hope if I use the theory of inner joins, you won't understand. So I'll be using the concept of subqueries. So my first step is answering this question is select all from exam_marks_db final the marks table. So once I run this, I get all the details. Then my second step is I have to give the conditions. Now where the student index number should be equal to, so as I said earlier, you can use equal. So select, now the subquery is select the index number in the student table. In the student table, you have the index number. So I am selecting the index number from exam_db final database. In that you have the student table. So next I am going to give another condition inside the subquery. So subquery inside the subquery. So class ID should be equal to select ID from the marks database. You have the class table where the class name is equal to lemonade. Okay, so the class, we have the class table, and in the class table we have the ID and the class name. The class name should be 11A. So let's run this query and see. Okay, now we have all the details of the students of class 11A. So since we connected the student table, so in that student table we are selecting only the students from class A. So as I said, we have inserted the query. So we have inserted the subquery inside the subquery, and that whole answer I have inserted inside the query. Okay, my next step is, according to the question, now I have filtered out the students of class A. Now I have to filter out those who sat for science subject. So and the subject ID should be equal to select subject ID from this database. I have the subject table where the subject name is equal to science. Okay. Now once I run this, I get the details of the subjects in ID2. As you can remember, in the subject table we have ID2 for science. Now we have selected students of class 11A who have studied science. Okay. Who have sat for all the examinations for the science subject. Now I am supposed to find the lowest mark. So I am not supposed to find the details, I am only supposed to find the lowest mark. So you use the function min. So inside this I have to give the marks table. So mark. Now I have the lowest mark right here. So yeah, I'll just rename the table. So as the lowest mark. Now I have the lowest mark as 23.5. So that's the end of the third question. Okay, moving on to the fourth one. The fourth question they are asking, let's see. So find the average of the marks obtained by Amanda Moses for the second term mathematics subject, mathematics, science and Sinhala language and literature subject. That means all three subjects. I am supposed to find the details of all three subjects for Amanda Moses, and I am supposed to find the average. So I am supposed to find the average of all the marks for Amanda Moses for the second term. Now except the class table, I need all the other three tables. If I am going to answer this question, I need all three tables, all tables except the class table. So as my first step, I am going to select all from this database, and I have the marks table. So I'll run this query. Now I have all the details of this marks table. Then I am going to inner join. Since we need the details of the student, we have to go to the student table. So inner joining the student table, the final database, this database I am going to use. So in this database I have the student table. So the condition is on. The index number of the marks table should be equal to the index number of the student table. Okay, now I have the student table connected to the marks table. Okay, now I am going to inner join another table. So I don't need the class table. I'll be needing the subject table. So inner join the database. We have the table inside the database, and we have the subject table. and the condition that I am going to give is that the subject ID of this database, of this table, of the marks table, the subject ID of the marks table should be equal to the subject ID of the subject table. Okay, now we have the subject table connected to this as well. Now I am going to inner join another table. That's my last table that I am going to inner join, and we inner joining the exam term table in this database. On the condition the term ID of the marks table should be equal to the term ID of the exam term table. Let's run this. Now we have the exam term table connected to this as well. Okay. Now we have all the tables connected to this. Now we have to give the condition. So in the question you have Amanda Moses, that means the first name is Amanda and the last name is Moses. So the conditions is where the first name is equal to Amanda and last name should be Moses. So now we have all the details of Amanda Moses for both the first term and the second term. You have all the details. Now I have to fill it out only for the second term. So and the term name should be equal to second term. Now we have all the details, that means all the subject details of Amanda Moses for the second term. But now in this database we have only 3 subjects, and in the question also they are asking the details of all 3 subjects. But since they have given it, so they should have given find the average of all 3 subjects. But instead of that they have given the name itself. So that means in turn they are asking us to include the subject names in the query. So what I am going to do, I am going to give another condition, and the subject name should be not equal. You have to use thing because you are equaling it not to one thing. I have to equal it to 3 things. So I have the subject name. I have 3 subjects, so I have to include 3 names. So mathematics, the other one is science, and the next one is Sinhala, language and literature. Okay, let's run this. Now we have all the details. Okay, now I have details. You have to spell all the subjects correctly. This I have replaced A and B, so you have to put and here because I have stored it in the database the entity. So now there you have it, all the details of Amanda Moses for the second term. So I am supposed to find the average, so I will just do that. So replacing this asterisk with average and mark. So we have the average here. So I am just going to rename the column. So So I am not supposed to round it off. So I will be renaming the column. So as average mark. Okay, now we have the average mark of Amanda Moses. Amanda Moses for the second term. Okay, now we have average of Amanda Moses for the second term is 88.626666, like that up to 6.7. Okay. Now there you have the answer for question number 4, and the last question they are asking, find the average 2 decimal places. That means I am supposed to find the average and round it up to 2 decimal places in the marks obtained by the students of 11A in the second term for all subjects. Now they haven't given us the names of the 3 subjects. They have straight away given us all subjects. So I have to include the exam timetable somehow, and I have to include the class table also. So, but I don't need the details of the students. So for the 5th question, I'll be using the theory of inner joins. So just closing all of this. Select all from. Now we have all the marks. So my first step is getting this table as the answer. Then my next step is inner joining the student table, because I can't get to the class table without joining it to the student table. So inner join the exam final database. You have the marks in this table. So then I have to, in this table I have to include the student table with the condition that the index number of this table should be equal to the index number of the student table. Let's run this. Now I have the student table connected to the marks table. Now I'll be inner joining the class table. So inner join the database and the class. Now I have connected the class table. So, and the condition is the condition is that the class ID of the student table should be equal to class ID of the class table. So now we have the marks table, the student table, and also the class name table. Now what I have to do is, let's look at the question again. Now we have to do the exam term table. Since we don't need the marks, I am not going to add it to our table. So I'll be needing the exam term table. So inner join exam term table where on the term ID of the marks table should be equal to term ID of the exam term table. Now we have the exam term table connected to this as well. Now we have, so far we have 4 tables connected to this whole answer. Now at last I have to give the condition. So my condition is that look at the question again. Our class name should be 11A. Class name should be 11A. Now we have all the details of 11A only. Here, as you can see, the class name is 11A. So next we have to include the term name, and the term name is second term. Now we have details of the second term only. So here you have the term name is only second term. Then next, I'm supposed to find the average. That's all the conditions. Next I have to find the average. So average, inside this I'll be assigning the marks column. So the average of the marks is 76.5225. But I have to round this up to the second decimal place, that means up to 76.52. That's the answer if you round it up to 2 decimal places. So round, so this should be capital. So round, okay, inside the round function I have included the average mark, but I want to round it up to 2 decimal places, and you put a comma and write 2. And also with that I'll be renaming the column also. So average mark of 11A of 11A students. Okay, so I'll be running this. So average mark of 11A students is 76.52, and that's the answer for the 5th question. And that's also the end of question number 29. So I'll see you in the next video. That is question number 30, and that will be an interesting question indeed. So stay tuned to this channel. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.